Okay, let's talk a little bit about absolute value, okay? These brackets signal absolute value. So what it's asking, what absolute value asks is distance from 0 on a number line. So 5 is how many units from 0? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What negative 5? How many units from 0 is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How about 3? 1, 2, 3. You ever notice how I'm not writing negative at all? Negative 3, 1, 2, 3. So that's 3. 2, 1, 2. Negative 2, 1, 2. So I'm just counting the units. Now you have some expressions involving absolute value. So the first thing you need to do is get just the absolute value so there's only one number inside. So 5 minus 10, negative 5. What's the absolute value of negative 5? 5. There's your answer. 8 minus 6 is 2. What's the absolute value of 2? How many units from 0 is 2 on a number line? 2. Okay, now here I've got two different absolute values. I need to get them both so they have one number inside. There's an adding sign. So negative 3 plus 5 is going to be 2. So the absolute value of, then 4 minus 6 is negative 2. So the absolute value of 2 is 2. And the absolute value of negative 2 is 2. So 2 plus 2 equals 4. Okay, get the bracket so there's only one number, one value. 7 minus 2 is 5. Negative 6 plus 3 is negative 3. Now get rid of your absolute values. So the absolute value of 5 is 5 minus the absolute value of negative 3 is 3. 5 minus 3 equals 2. Okay, 3 minus 5 is negative 2. Negative 3 plus 5 is 3. So what's the absolute value of negative 2? 2. What's the absolute value of 3? 3. 2 plus 3 equals 5. So 6 minus 10, negative 4. 3 minus 7 is negative 4. What's the absolute value of negative 4? 4. Minus, what's the absolute value of negative 4? 4. 4 minus 4 is 0. Okay, so I get the absolute values so there's down to just one number inside, and then take the absolute values off and then do the math. Okay, now we're going to be solving some absolute value equations. So absolute value equations, when the variable is in an absolute value, then it's going to have two answers. So I make this little T thing and write two equal sign twice. So what my absolute value here is equal to 5. So where are the two places on this number line where I can be 5 units from 0, where I can have an absolute value of 5? Well, 5, but also negative 5. So to have an absolute value of 5, I could be at 5 or negative 5. Now what's inside your absolute value? In this case, it's just x. Okay, so the problem is solved. Relatively easy. Okay, then the absolute value is equal to 3. So where are the two places I can be 3 from 0? 3 and negative 3. So the expression inside is x minus 6. So I put x minus 6 and x minus 6. So then I put a 1 in front, box it up, plus 6 plus 6. 1x is like x, and 3 plus 6 is 9. So there's one possible value for x. Plus 6, negative 3 plus 6 is 3. There's my other one. Now 9 minus 6 is 3. Absolute value of 3 is equal to 3. So that checks out. Now, if I use 3, 3 minus 6 is negative 3, but because negative 3 would be in an absolute value, it's equal to 3 as well. Okay. Absolute value equals 13. The two places on a number line I can have an absolute value of 13 are at 13 and negative 13. So each equation is equal to the positive and the negative. And then inside you got the expression 3x plus 2. Okay, so solve that. Minus 2 minus 2. So 3x equals 11. Divide by 3. 11 divided by 3 is going to be 3.6 repeating. So if I get a repeating decimal, I'm just going to leave it in fraction form. Okay, then minus 2, so 3x. Negative 13 minus 2 is negative 15. So I divide by 3, and I get negative 5. Okay, so now let's take 3 times 11 over 3 is 11, and 11 plus 2 is 13. Absolute value of 13 is 13. Now negative 5, 3 times negative 5 is negative 15. Negative 15 plus 2 is negative 13, but because that's in an absolute value, it equals 13. So those both work. Okay, my absolute value is equal to 13. So again, I can be at 13 or negative 13. Then I take the expression inside the entire expression and set that equal to each of my 13s. Plus 1, so 7x, 13 plus 1 is 14. Then I divide by 7, I get 2. Okay, plus 1, so 7x, negative 13 plus 1 is negative 12, and then I divide by 7 on both sides. That's a decimal that really never ends. If you punch in your calculator, negative 12 divided by 7, so it's negative 12 over, I just leave it in fraction form. Okay, next one. Where's the two places on a number line I can be 9 units from 0? I can be at 9 or negative 9. And then the expression inside is 5 plus negative 2x. It's minus, so I'm going to go plus negative with it. So I know my x is negative. Okay, so I subtract 5. 9 minus 5 is 4, so I have negative 2x. And then I divide each side by negative 2. And x is negative 2. So I minus 5, so negative 2x, and then negative 14. X is 7, okay? So negative 2 times negative 2 is 4, and then plus 5 is 9. Now negative 2 times 7 is going to be negative 14, but when I add 5, I get negative 9. So the absolute value of negative 9 is 9. Makes sense. But that's why there's two answers, because you can be at the positive and the negative. So the absolute value, you can be 13 or at negative 13, and then inside you have 2x minus 3. So I plus 3, 2x is 16, divide by 2, x equals 8. There's our first answer. Plus 3. Negative 13 plus 3 is negative 10, so I divide by 2. I get negative 5. So 2 times 8 is 16. 16 minus 3 is 13. Absolute value of 13 is 13. 2 times negative 5 is negative 10. If I subtract 3 from negative 10, I get negative 13. But it's in an absolute value, so that comes out equal to 13 as well. Okay, on to the next one.